how ready are we now for in our defense? So my main and simple and human question is, when as citizens of this country will we be feeling safe? Do we feel already safe? What has been done in order for us to feel safe, and what you think is still, and not only think, what are you planning, and still things that need to be installed in order for the population of this country to feel safe living here? That's a question, I'm sorry, I get asked occasionally, even in grocery stores, so I'm now passing it on to you, sorry.
Well, those questions are natural, those questions are expected, and certainly they have to be responded. But before that, dear Director, dear Kārlis, dear Honorary Director Andris, dear Rector of the University, dear colleagues, of course it is a great pleasure to be part of the Riga Security Forum. And I see that the Security Forum is in safe hands. So the Security Forum is safe, and which is very good and important that this debate goes on. And I am also happy that the debate goes on at Riga Technical University, at one of our science universities, because cooperation among different players, different institutions, different actors, if I may use academic term, is extremely important and instrumental. That's exactly also how we build our common security. So to respond to your question about being safe, actually we have to make safe steps on every level, involving every actor, every individual in Latvia. It's not that just Ministry of Defense will be able to respond that we are safe. It's about all of us. It is comprehensive defense approach, what we do in Latvia, and here every individual, every contribution, every institution, every partner is absolutely indispensable. So to come back to straightforwardly already to your question, so my response would be we are safe. Why? Because we are actively involved and we are building together resilience. We are building resilience among society. We are informing society. We are involving our partners. Universities are important, indispensable. We are building together with our international partners as well, with our allies. And last but not least, of course, we are investing a lot in our own defense. We don't see at the moment the direct military threats, conventional military threats, but at the same time, what I always underline, we are not at war formally, but we are not at peace either. So that's why, yes, we are safe, but building safety, building security, it's ongoing process. You can never stop. You have to invest all the time. You have to do it in comprehensive way, and that's exactly what is being done. There is no absolute security. Also, we should remember that part, because we are encountering a number of challenges in a wide spectrum, starting from internal ones, but of course also the hybrid activities, cyber attacks, the weaponization of illegal migration, the informational space. So we are destined to deal with our security. We are destined to deal with insecurity challenges. But for the people, my first message would be we are safe, but it's an everyday task, everyday mission, what we have to fulfill to feel safe also tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This an interesting way how you put it, that we're destined to deal with security issues, and that's actually, I think, is a very unfortunate situation that we have come to this, but it wasn't our choosing in the first place. You were saying about the investing in our own defense, investing in partners, and one of the major projects has been the Baltic Baltic Defense Line. It's a historical one, so of course taking into account the similar lines that have been built in the past. Some have worked, some haven't worked. So my question is the practical implications of the Baltic Defense Line. How it will look like? Will it? How strong will it be? How easy it is to cooperate with partners in Estonia and Lithuania, respectively?
It is. The Baltic Defense Line is very important, and we certainly prioritize protecting our border, protecting every inch, every centimeter of NATO territory, including Latvia's territory, but every NATO territory must be protected. So that's why this is a very clear signal, very clear example of what's being also done in terms of protecting our border from very first inch. At the same time, I have to put the Baltic defense line in a wider context, namely, when we say about the different capabilities, we don't say that just this one capability out of 26 will be only and decisive one. It's combined arms, it's combined capabilities, it's combined measures. So when we discuss our security, and again, the core, the crux, the essence of the issue is about the people feeling safe and secure. And that's why, of course, we must remember that there are a number of activities what we should do. So the Baltic defense line is an important one, but of course it is not the only one. But Baltic defense line, yes, was decided last year that we have to go together, 3 Baltic countries. We signed the Baltic defense line agreement here in Riga in 2024 in January, and starting from March, in the government, we adopted the plan, the counter-mobility or border strengthening plan, and we systematically started to do with a number of activities. It is constructing the artificial obstacles and integrating them with natural obstacles, acquisition of mines, but not deploying. I always have to underline, not deploying those mines, preparing infrastructure also for the worst case scenario, and that's why also now we see the debate on railway sort of scenarios, what should be done and what we could do, but at the same time, actually in a wider sense, how we protect, how we make counter mobility efficient also in terms of the preparing infrastructure. This debate already has been from the very beginning. Now there is more specific dimension, more specific angle to it, but generally, of course, we are assessing different scenarios in different ways what we can do. It's also additionally obtaining the specific artillery systems, which can also protect it. It's also the places which will be shelters for the soldiers and also for the accumulating the ammunition and mines. So there are a number of activities which are part of Baltic defense line. We are coordinating those activities with our partners, with Lithuania and Estonia, and also now with Poland. The so-called Eastern Shield, they also realize how important it is. And recently, actually, Finland also is expressing its interest that they could be part of, let's say, wider 5-country, the regional capability development, especially within the European Union, because we have advocated and promoted our case within the European Union that it is protecting not only NATO's external border, but also EU's external border. And that's why common approach, common financing is absolutely must, and it must be on the table in our further negotiations also within the context of multi-annual financial framework, the budget. So that's why, yes, so there is a political will, there is a military need, there is a financial allocation potentially, already now on national level, but also on European Union level. There is a coordination among the countries, and it means that this is a flagship issue which moves forward. And we've been quite, I would say, smart in the sense that we realized already that it should be done quickly some year ago, that we should move forward with Baltic defense line with protecting our external border.
Thank you. I'll follow up with this because now we have been dealing with the ground aspects. Now I want to go into space because protecting the inch. Should it be cubic inch? So in this case, going into space. But before that, colleagues, Minister has kindly agreed to also take a couple of questions from the audience. So if you think that I am throwing Minister softball questions, so you can start preparing your own. I don't know. Cannot confirm, cannot deny. Drone coalition. That has been one of your personal flagship projects, and Latvia has been leading this together with the United Kingdom. And you already said that in case of the Baltic Defense Line, Finland is thinking of joining in. It's a EU level project. So what about the drone coalition? Why isn't that yet a full-fledged European Union project? And in this case, that would be the first part. And the second part is, we are kind of all excited about drones and drones delivering things and drones doing things. And so the question is, there's always somewhat a spillover effect from the military into civilian sector. So do you envisage some kind of the spillover into the technological spillover into the civilian sector in Latvia at some point as well?
Well, I will start with the second part on the spillover. I think the spillover is just constant. So there is constant spillover from civilian drone capabilities and development into military. Because let's face it, what we have right now as a military industry started in Latvia as a civil or civilian drone industry. And vice versa, of course, what we see as a military development certainly will be usable and that can be taken advantage of also in civilian life. So in terms of the agriculture, in terms of the border protection and other activities. So I think on transportation in general. So that's why this is, I think, an easy one, and sort of it both mutually interact, and at specific moment in time some of the dimensions are pushing for another dimension. So now, of course, the emphasis on military, the innovation, military adjustment, military agility, but it always will be connected with also civilian, and also will be learning from civilian industry, and we are happy to learn from it. And here again, as a drone summit took place in Latvia, and as a distinguished rector expressed it, we were happy to cooperate with Riga Technical University, because we see that this is exactly how it should be done. It's not just about industry, it's about innovative minds, it's about using all the potential, all the ecosystem to use all advantage what we have accumulated in Latvia. And I always underline that most likely in Latvia we will not be building the fully equipped tanks, but we can build fully equipped and very smart and very innovative drone technologies, autonomous systems. So autonomous systems, this is our advantage, because this is not about heavy metal industry, if I may say so. It is first about our intellectual capabilities. It's about the institutional capabilities. It's about universities. So in here I see the strong potential. So that's why, coming back, and yes, I'm happy to underline, most likely a bit as a politician, that I am being called a drone minister, with all its challenges, but also with developments, what we've done together. The drone coalition, when I first time attended Rammstein format, back in 2023 in October, just when the government was formed, so I realized that, look, Latvia doesn't have a coalition, a capability coalition. Lithuanians have demining capability coalition, Estonians have... Which one? Kārlis, which one?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I'm just checking you from time to time. So it's IT coalition, of course, e-Estonia, so it's also capability, IT coalition, and we didn't have a coalition. And I said, look, I mean, first of all, we should have, let's say, our role. We are willing to take a role supporting Ukraine, first of all. And second one, let's support Ukraine, but let's also support Ukraine through coalition, where also our industry, our innovative minds, our military can gain. So it's a win-win for everyone. It's a win-win for Ukraine, but it's a win also for Latvia and for Latvian military capabilities in our defense. So this was absolutely intentional decisions that we should have this vision to move forward with a drone coalition as actually our own capability development direction, but supporting Ukraine at the same time, coordinating those activities. At the moment, there are 20 countries. It cannot be EU coalition. Why? Because it's a Rammstein format. A Rammstein format is 60 countries almost, or more than 50 countries. And we have within coalition Canada, we have New Zealand, we have Australia, we have Turkey, which just joined. So this is a coalition which consists of Rammstein format countries. So there are a number of coalitions. We are part of 4 of them. And we are, of course, they're co-leading together with UK, which is also not EU country member. So we are co-leading exactly the drone coalition within the wider Rammstein format. But at the same time, when capability development discussions started in the EU, we immediately identified that we will be the leading nation also in EU drone capability development. So there are Latvia, Netherlands, and Croatia. We are also in the EU capability leadership, in a leading role. So that's why we have taken the full spectrum supporting Ukraine within EU, developing our own industry and armed forces in terms of drone army. So the drone initiative or drone development, of course, should take place on a wider of spectrum. So when they started, security is on involving everyone, and then pretty much it's similar also within a drone direction or drone priority. So that's why we also established Autonomous System Competence Center. It's not just anymore about aerial drones or aerial autonomous systems. It's about the ground air systems as well. It's about maritime systems, also the subwater systems. So of course we make also the next steps. Testing is important. The adopting, absorbing within the armed forces. So of course testing them in also in the Ukrainian battlefield and taking the best lessons from Ukraine. So this is of course a multi-implicit tasks, if I may say so. And we are doing it. And I think at the moment we are, if not a step ahead, at least half a step ahead of some other nations, but you can never be complacent. It's always moving forward. It's always being dynamic. It's always being agile. And again, I once more look, that's why the universities, because that's how we can be agile, just having all our forces, all our intellectual capabilities, all our potential being accumulated and move towards exactly being us as a art of state, or state of art, to be more precise, the pioneers.
Thank you. Bright future ahead of us. Yes, if I may kindly ask, because we are recording this, if you could also state your name and affiliation the moment when you're asking the question, please, Sergis.
Sergis Potapkins, Latvian Institute of International Affairs. First of all, thank you for very valuable information and answers. And I want to start from the biggest elephant in the room, namely the United States National Security Strategy published a couple of days ago. Somebody already joked that it's much easier to understand strategy reading in its original language, namely Russian. So I want to divide my question in two parts. First, the first part and the first year of Trump presidency, how it influenced our defense capabilities. And the second, please comment the new security strategy. Will we feel and how will we feel influence from that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, it is expected, anticipated the question. I don't really see why it's an elephant in the room, and of course I would be very careful saying that this is written in some other language, because I believe it's written in a language by President Trump in many ways. I think there is nothing surprising in the strategy itself. It is a strategy which is focused, of course, also on providing very clear domestic signals. It is absolutely goes in the context of what President Trump has expressed starting from very first day of his presidency, America first. Of course, it is with strategic focus on protecting the mainland, but not only, it also envisaged and shows what are the priorities in terms of the international community. And of course, some of those international community directions may raise some questions for us, but I would not over-dramatize it. There is nothing sort of completely fundamentally new. We've seen it for a while. We've seen what are the major trends, and this is not actually the only Mr. or President Trump which has set those trends. Those trends to geo-pivoting to Asia has been already known for us from the Obama years, more than 10 years ago, and vice versa. So that's why I would not be here surprised, and I would not be over-dramatizing, and I don't see what are the reasons to sort of think that there is an element of some kind of international or foreign influence. But anyway, so coming back to what are the main points in many ways for us, what to draw conclusions, which are, of course, as I say, not concerning, but what we have to raise, what we have to address, what we have to deal with. It's on why the international aspect that the strategy clarifies very clearly that first priority is, of course, Western Hemisphere. Yes, we see that this is quite a traditional way of American thinking for centuries. Actually, the George Washington started with, Monroe Doctrine was it, and actually Monroe Doctrine is mentioned very clearly in a document, corollary of the Monroe Doctrine. Then next one is Indo-Pacific. Nothing surprising. The third one is priority is Europe. And last but not least is also the Middle East. Is it something surprising in this regard? I would say not really. On Europe, if we don't take out just one sentence on sort of strategic stability with Russia, what does it exactly mean? But some sort of the elements of it we've seen in the past that we have to negotiate. I think there is also the things which we can read through the President Trump's vision of the world, or generally what he has expressed, that he is the president of peace, that he put emphasis on interaction of nations, on sovereignty, that of course it is important that there is fair burden sharing or burden shifting as well in this time. He says it very clearly, or the strategy says very clearly, that actually it wants to promote the confidence of Europe, that Europe must take more a role which actually has been deprived of, which has been putting away itself. So I believe that fair burden sharing, European stepping up, is absolutely what must be done, what Latvia also supports, that Europeans must step up. So I don't see here some sort of the over-dramatic nuances or nuance which would be somehow for us over-dramatized. Yes, we should take into account that there are some general shifts, but Europe is being once more identified as a strong strategic partner. That Europe must become more confident and must invest, and actually indicating that, for instance, there is also the sentence on Germany, which is developing its factories in China with support of Russian gas. So he is also critical of some of the activities exactly which involves China and Russia. So you can read it from different perspectives. Actually, you can read from perspective Europe. Let's become stronger. Europe must become stronger, we must invest more, and we must be equal partners in terms of burden sharing with United States, by this actually making stronger our economies and making stronger as a civilizational community. And I see also the positive steps in this regard.
Thank you. Do you have one more question? Yes, Andris, please.
Is Europe stepping up? Is the renaissance of the European military industry a fact already, or is it only developing too slowly?
Easy question. Yes, it's a glass half empty, glass half full. It's a glass half full on a mindset level. There is understanding, there is a vision, there is commitments that actually we realize that Europe must step up, that the continent is being, if not threatened, at least there are some threats outside, and that we have to invest in our defense, that we have to invest in our defense industry. So in terms of the mindset, in terms of the policies, it's a right mindset. So the Zeitenwende has taken place along European continent mostly. Of course, let's be realistic, there is diversity always will be remaining due to geographical location, due to historical experiences. We cannot fully deny that part. So Europe is diverse. So this, of course, element will be always part of the wider picture. But in terms of the general mindset, I would say yes, it is a glass is half full, not completely full that now we decided that we will be doing it in the coming years, still also that it will take some time. We can be critical of that part, but generally the mindset, the understanding is there. The glass is half empty in terms of the implementation. So now, of course, the implementation. On investing now, urgently, into defense, on supporting Ukraine, investing in our defense industry, and also defense industry being adjusted directly and ready to provide the necessary equipment for the armed forces. In terms of also the timeline, how we invest and how we acquire those equipments and capabilities. So that's why, of course, implementation parties, it moves in the right direction, but certainly and unfortunately, it might take some time. The mindset is right, the implementation is now a crucial one, and it's urgent, of course.
I have one more question then.
But of course, I can add that there are some countries which are pushing forward the whole debate, including Latvia. And that's also coming back and putting in the context a national strategy. What Pete Hegseth just said also in the security conference in California, that there are those reliable role model countries, Poland, Baltic countries, but also Germany is changing. So he indicated, and we had a meeting with Pete Hegseth in July in the Pentagon. And not many countries actually have had those meetings, and we are very proud of it that we were able to, 3 Baltic countries come to the Pentagon and to have a very frank and quite a lengthy discussion. And we received expressions of solidarity, unity, also that US presence, and actually also appreciation what Latvia, what the Baltic countries are doing in terms of being leading countries in showing how things should be done, also for other European countries, because how we are doing it, other countries are pushed, are motivated, are encouraged also to follow. And that's why also, of course, for us, it is important to take a leading role, to do things quickly, because if we preach, it's also not just about walking the walk, it's also, it's not just about talking the walk, but it's also about walking the walk. It's first of all about us, ourselves, and we are doing it. But of course, so this is also what indicates that some other countries must follow, and we'll be encouraging diplomatically, strategically, politely, that this is our common interest, that we are confident, as national strategy says it. We as Europeans are confident and are ready to deal with any aggressor countries which are in our neighborhood, in our proximity.
Thank you, Minister. As you see, the questions are still whether are we feeling safe and secure or not. And thank you for your explanations and details on the situation and actually calming us down. So, and for your leadership and on the issue as well, because this is what has been somewhat missing in a security domain in this country and in the world probably this year. But still have one more question. We have 3 more minutes. We are on the moon. This is about technology. Gins. Okay, I'm going to ask mine, but you have to ask your very, very quickly, and Minister's going to have a total of 3 minutes to answer both of our questions. Mine is on artificial intelligence, on how future-oriented our defense policies are. I mean, from the point of view of technology, from the point of view of building the systems which will help us to deal with and head of the Friedrich-Ebert Foundation already mentioned that the moon, the militarization of moon, militarization of space. So there's a question: are we thinking about those issues in a broader, future-oriented terms already now, or we are seeing those as way too long distance? So how long-term planning for the future we are doing? And Gins, your question, if I may kindly ask in shorter than mine.
Yeah, very short, retired Latvian ambassador. Minister, you mentioned speed. What about Rail Baltica in this context? Thank you.
That was short.
You should invite Minister of Transportation or the Prime Minister. Yes, I know, of course. I can expand it in a lengthy manner here as well. Of course, it
have 2 minutes.
Of course, Rail Baltica is important. Also, it's important exactly as a member of the government, as a Minister of Defense, from the perspective of the military mobility. But we have some legacies at the moment. Exactly, the focus is to put rails as soon as possible, because the focus, unfortunately, has been on a big infrastructure objects, buildings without rails. So now the understanding is absolutely that rails must be there as soon as possible. So this is a very clear goal, and we are moving forward, of course, within certain financial constraints, but the rails are now the top priority. Let's start with the rails. So we've seen from the previous experience that the priorities were somewhat different, and now we are somehow trying to find a exit strategy, but still at the same time finding the speedy solutions to Rail Baltica in terms of exactly acquiring this military mobility. But it's not just for military mobility is also important. But coming back to artificial intelligence, yes, and I am also happy, and I am delighted, and to some extent appreciative to also my predecessors that already some decisions were, for instance, made in terms of the 5G lab in Andris military base. And now already 5G lab this year, for instance, which was the first European 5G lab on the continent. We are now already connecting 5G, artificial intelligence, and autonomous systems. So exactly, autonomous systems must be maximally autonomous. We realized that before the full-scale invasion, we had also some global, international, ethical questions, what exactly autonomy means. And this is still a relevant issue as well, how far we go with autonomous systems. But of course, in a challenging testing times, we have to use all our advantage and to equip ourselves with capabilities which are able to protect our people and once more come back to your first question, to provide security to our people. So that's why, of course, autonomous systems must be as autonomous as they can be. So here on Latvian soil. So I'll be in favor of it. So also from very beginning of my term, I immediately raised the question of artificial intelligence. It takes some time, but we see some steps which are going simultaneously with autonomous systems development. Also, artificial intelligence is increasingly integrated. But the horizon, the sky is the limit in this regard. And we have to be very dynamic, very agile. And once more, I look towards universities because, of course, artificial intelligence is absolutely where innovative minds are being accumulated. So now already I say, look, I mean, in previous times, the armed forces always knew what we want. Now sometimes we don't know what exactly is taking place in a scientific domain. And that's why interactions, mutual spillover is extremely important. Mutual learning process is absolutely crucial in this regard. So basically armed forces become a learning institution. It's not anymore in a classical way combining arms. It's actually a learning institution and we're learning all together.